Hello everyone, welcome back. We're talking about functions still, and in this video we're going to talk about exception handling, which is what our function should do if the user inputs something unexpected, or maybe the user is using our function incorrectly. And so let's check that out. In a previous video, we made a function called hello, which prints hello, or which takes a name as input and then prints hello plus that name, hola plus that name, and then ni hao plus that name. And I think it even returned the length of that name, so I'll just keep that in there. Yeah. Okay. So just to give you an idea of what this function does, in case you forgot it, let me run it a couple times. But before that, I guess I should point out that I've renamed it to exceptionhandling.py. And so this is saved on my desktop, and I've got the current working directory there as my desktop. All right, so I'm just going to call it with, remember we can give it a string as a name, like Amanda. And when I save that, Control S and then run it, you'll see that it prints hello Amanda, hola Amanda, ni hao Amanda. Now, name had a default value or default parameter of Marty, and so I don't even have to give it anything. Remember that if I call it just without any inputs and I run it, then it prints hello Marty, hola Marty, ni hao Marty, and that's because again Marty is a default parameter, and the name has this default argument, default value of Marty. Now, the computer doesn't know really like what a name is. I could give it like 13, for example, in quotes. That's still a string, right? So it doesn't know that 13 is not a name. Certainly, it's still a string, and so it should still run, and I run it, and it says hello 13, hola 13, ni hao 13. Now, if the user inputs something incorrectly, or misunderstands our function and maybe gives it a number like 13, like that, that's an int, type int, right? So without the quotes it's an int, and with the quotes it's a string, and if I do 13.0, now it's a float. So if I give it 13, if you remember, we can't concatenate a string with an int or a float, and so we're going to have an issue on line 3 and 4 and 5, but 3 occurs first. We're going to have an issue there. It's not going to be able to do this, concatenate hello with an int 13. And let's just see what happens when we try to do that. And you see we get this, it's called a type error. So it gives us a type error, which is exactly what it means. It means that it can't concatenate this type of variable because it's not a string. Can only concatenate string, not int, toString. Okay, so imagine we wanted to say hello to several people, like hello Amanda, right? And then there's no problem with that line, right? And then maybe hello Tessa, there's no problem with that line. And then hello 13, okay, there's the problem. And then maybe we wanted to say hello to Darcy, like that. So we just identified that line 11 with this 13 as input is going to give us some issue. The question now is, will line 12 be executed? That is, will it still say hello to Darcy? And to answer that, I'm going to begin by clearing the console. All right, I'm going to save it, Control S, and then I'm going to run it. We're going to see what happens. All right, now we get the error, but I'm going to scroll up. And you see it says hello to Amanda, hola, ni hao. Then hello to Tessa, hola, ni hao. And then we get the error. And we never print hello to Darcy. Oh, Darcy is so sad. That's because line 11 crashes our program. We get an error and then that's it. The computer doesn't know what to do, so that terminates the program. This is not what we would like because, yeah, we made an error here, but we would still like it to continue and say hello to Darcy in this case. So we need, this raises an exception, an error. An exception means similar things, and we would like to, so to speak, handle this exception. And so that's what we're going to do now in our function. So I'm going to come up to the function, and I'm going to use the word try, T-R-Y, colon, and you'll see try lights up in blue on my computer, but it changes color, and that means it's a keyword, just like def and return. And then I'm going to put a colon, like I have for the def statement, and for if and while and so forth, and then I'm going to indent. And so this forms the try block. So this is literally, telling the computer to try to do these things, although it might not be able to. And so we're also going to put what's called the exception, except, and I want to line up the indentation with the try, because try and except are kind of they're pairs. And I'm going to say except, and I'm going to tell it the type error, right? Or the type of error, which in this case, is a type error. So I'm going to type this here, and you'll see type error lights up in a different color as well. So what this is saying is, try to do this lines 4, 5, and 6. Try to say hello to the person, and if you can't, or that is to say, if you get a type error, you can do something else. So it's like if else in that way, okay? But it's handling the errors instead. So we can say something like print, and now we'll give the user like a message, and we'll say something like error. This function accepts an str, a string, as input. Okay. So now let's. I'm just going to delete these lines here. Our function calls. All right. And now we're going to try to say hello to the number 13, like this, and see what happens. Control S to save. I'll clear the console. All right. What do we do? Oh, yeah. So then it's going to have a problem with the return statement. It's not going to be able to return the length of name because 13 has no length. So we need to actually put the return clause in the try block. Yeah. Okay, so once again, the full functionality goes in the try clause. Try to print hello, print hello, print hello, try to return the length of your name. And if you can't do that, then print, hey, this function only accepts a string. Okay, my bad. Again, I'll clear the console. All right, and we'll run it. And there we go. So it runs now. You see, we don't really get a traceback error. We get the message that we printed. Error, this function accepts I put an string, that's not right, a string as input. So that's good. Now, the point here, remember, was that it does not crash our program. So now we can say something like hello to Amanda, right? And then hello to Tessa. And then maybe, we have a typo, or we didn't use our program correctly, our function correctly, that is. And so we say hello to 13, which is not right. And then we say hello to Darcy. Now I'm going to clear the console. Okay, and Control S, save my program, and then I'm going to run it. And you see again now we've got what we wanted. Hello, hola ni hao to Amanda. Hello, hola ni hao to Tessa. And then we say, hey, this function accepts a string as input, and then it continues. It does not crash, and it says hello Darcy, hola Darcy, ni hao Darcy. So this is again exception or error handling. We are testing the type of variable that's coming in. There are other errors that you can get. For example, I'll just give you one more. Remember, because we put the error type right here, that when we're trying to handle this exception. So let's say we had something like spam equals 100, and let's say we did spam divided by 0, and we get an error, but this error is 0 division error. So if this was the error that I was going to be handling, then instead of type error, I would put 0 division error, which would not make sense in this problem, though, when we're saying hello. So we want, for this program, we want type error. we have an error in the type of variable. But just be aware that there are many different kinds of errors, and you will for sure see them as you go through this course. And so I'll let you research about all the different types of errors that you can get, and it's that error type that you need to be aware of when you're handling these uh, these exceptions. All right, so that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.